I guess what I want is VR to encompass everything and become augmented reality, but like perfect augmented reality, I suppose.
I just don't want VR to be the final frontier.
Like, brain implants.
It's just the first step.
Well, what is the final frontier then? What's after VR?
Ready Player One.
Oh no!
VR.
So references out the ass, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Tracers,
no.
butt cheeks.
I'd rather go backwards in time than there, if that's our future. Man, that movie was fucking painful.
You'd rather be a peasant in like a French medieval village than hang out with Master Chief in VR.
Yeah.
And Tracer from Overwatch.
Oh my god, that was so lame.
She's in that movie like 4 fucking times.
Is Mark Zuckerberg going to be the like dictator of the metaverse? Like, is he going to be this all-imposing figure? Is he going to be like the president?
No, I think they're gonna keep all of us in like pods where we all live in the metaverse, and people like Mark Zuckerberg are gonna just yuck it up in the real world as they always have been.
That was his
What the
only
fuck would
goal.
They confine themselves into the metaverse?
That was his only goal in inventing all this VR tech progression. He just wants everyone to get into VR so he can be left alone forever in the real world.
I don't think this has ever come up at all in fiction or reality, but I think like they'll put us in pods to experience VR, and then they'll siphon our life force for batteries, and will power the real life fantasies of the rich. And
That's the Matrix.
No, it's never happened before.
That's almost exactly like Skynet too, but it's the cum that powers the robots.
And Jackson, did you know that the Matrix was originally going to be about brains harnessing processing power, which makes a lot more sense than using them for energy?
That would have made so much more sense. Why didn't they go with that?
Well, the audiences wouldn't get it.
The executives at the time said that casual audiences wouldn't understand that as a concept, whereas energy made more sense.
Yeah,
what?
And
I can change it. Yeah,
so
I absolutely think they're right in their understanding. Like, I don't think casual audiences would have understood what the fuck brain processing meant in terms of like computers and such. But
yeah,
it's
you gotta remember the Matrix came out in 1999. Where like Windows 98 was still reigning supreme. There were plenty of people watching that movie who would have no fucking idea what they meant by like harnessing into a giant supercomputer with their processing.
Oh,
and this
come
and that.
on. You're like, you're okay. I know people by and large are stupid, but all it would have taken is like a throwaway line in the movie to explain it. Like, think of your brain as a computer, and now they're using it to calculate their own shit. Like, it's not that difficult of a concept to wrap your head around. Ugh.
I don't know. I could see the logic behind either. I agree that the processing thing makes way more sense in universes and it is a more interesting plot. But I could see why they would change it to try to make it as simple as possible.
Yeah, but all you had to change was, you know that scene where Morpheus is they're in the white Matrix and he's explaining to Neo what he is, and he holds up a AA battery or something, and he says this is all you are to them. All you had to do was like give him a pocket calculator instead. There. This is all you are to them, a fucking calculator.
But the general audience doesn't know what a calculator is.
And think what the audience would think. What the general audience would say. They'd hold up a calculator and he'd be like, "What, is Neo a genius? Is he like a math nerd?" That's exactly what they'd say. And
I don't think people are that stupid, though. I think they'd get it.
No, people are stupid, dude.
Nah, man.
No,
We're stupid.
Not.
We're stupid.
Okay. Imagine this too.
Yeah,
like,
we're
think
stupid
how many
and we get it.
Think how popular The Matrix was with kids and teenagers. Do you really think the majority of them would understand that allegory? They'd be like, "Whoa, Neo's a fucking like calculator. He's really smart. That's
he can
what
do math
think.
fast.
He can do math." That's what they think. They're kids.
That'd be fucking awesome. Like, damn, this guy's good at math and he's making it cool. I want to be good at math.
First of all, that is the point of the Matrix. Neo's that smart because he's like an expert programmer who can do all that fucking code shit in his brain almost intuitively. What's the explanation now? He's a really good battery? That wasn't the point of it.
He takes
and
in power.
I do think kids would understand it better. Kids are the ones playing video games and shit.
Yeah,
if
kids
anything,
would have
they
been
could
fine.
wrap their heads around it much easier.
It's the general
say a
audience, which is
fucking
anyone
60-year-old
over
boomer.
like 20 to 40 that visits cinemas.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you that it's way better when it's processing power, but I also see why they changed it.
I understand the decision, yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm interested, Andrew. Do you know any other like fun facts like that where a movie had to be dumped down by the suits against the like.
Oh, I
writer's
do.
wishes?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Jurassic Park. So
I knew it. I knew it.
So you know the Velociraptors in Jurassic Park, the originals, mind you.
Yeah.
They're like all big and imposing. They're the size of humans. Velociraptors in real life, however, are the size of chihuahuas, and they're not nearly as imposing. The reason that they were changed in the movie to be called Velociraptors is because Velociraptors had a cooler sounding name than the actual dinosaur it was based on, which is something like Utah Raptor. And so they chose Velociraptor instead. But Velociraptors in real life are the size of chihuahuas, so not entirely accurate.
Oh,
So
that would have been so
Wait,
cute.
Velociraptors are like chicken size?
Yeah, pretty much. They weren't large at all.
I didn't know that.
I have a fun one for you guys. Did you know Kangaroo Jack was originally supposed to be a PG-13 movie, but they ended up cutting everything down to make it PG, which is why it's so weird and disjointed.
It's also why the trailers were so disconnected from the actual movie.
Yep.
Like the kangaroo in the trailers was constantly shown talking and rapping and doing all this weird shit. And then in the movie, that is for one scene and it's a dream.
Yep. And the movie wasn't even supposed to be about that kangaroo. It was actually just a comedy about like transporting drugs in the outback. But they changed it to be more kids oriented for some reason. They made that one kangaroo scene like the focal point of its marketing.
Yep. I saw that movie in the theaters as a kid.
So did I.
Yeah.
It was good. I used to love that movie.
Me too. I thought it was great.
So you can't argue with the change then?
Well, I mean, everyone else hated it. It has an 8% on Rotten Tomatoes. I remember even back when I was a kid, everyone was like, this movie's trash. It's one of the worst movies ever made.
Jackson, you
like
gotta
it?
remember, kids like garbage. Like, there are some really, really terrible movies and TV shows that kids just love.
Yeah, I suppose.
Jackson, are you feeling threatened over Star Wars now?
No.
Yeah, did they have to dumb down Star Wars?
Well, they fixed it in editing. George Lucas's wife, like the original cut of Star Wars, was apparently really awful.
I know another one.
Okay, I'll go fuck
I'm
myself.
sorry. I'm sorry. It just,
No, go ahead. I've been talking a lot.
I got lost in my own train of thought and tuned everyone else out, and then I just had to be heard. I'm sorry, Jackson. Go ahead.
No, I'm done anyway. That story's well known.
What's the story? It was based off a true story. It was a very famous movie about the teacher who moves to like the ghetto, lower class, inner city school, and all the kids are really violent and troubled, and then she wins them over by being really respected.
I know what you're talking about.
It's a very famous movie.
Apparently, Dangerous Minds. Someone said.
Maybe. Let me see. It is Dangerous
Substitute.
Minds. I think it's Dangerous Minds, where it was some really, really like famous big box office movie where this like teacher who's a real hard ass moves into an inner city school, and all the kids are really like violent and troubled, and eventually she like convinces them to be respectful and good students. Freedom Writers might be it. Is it No, it's not Freedom Writers. It's the one with... Fuck. Either way, it might be Freedom Writers. I'm not sure.
Jesus, there's so many.
Either way,
there's so many people putting different movie titles in
I
chat.
know,
How many movies were made off this concept?
There's a lot of
you sure it
movies
wasn't
with this
Star Wars?
premise. It might have been Star Wars. There's a
There's a
lot of
New Hope.
movies with this premise, but there's one really famous one where the teacher... There's a scene where the teacher walks into the classroom wearing a sexy outfit,
Ooh.
and it's to get their attention and like show that she's like, you know, the boss and she's in charge and she's a woman. And in the movie, it's like this big scene where she walks in with like a fucking hot dress and her titties hanging out, and everyone's like, whoa, maybe I should listen to my teacher because she's hot. And they interviewed the teacher that movie was
That's not
based
what
off
they're
of.
thinking.
They interviewed they interviewed the teacher that movie was based off of, and she said that's not what happened remotely at all in real life. If I did that, the students would have just fucking disrespected me even further and thrown me out of the fucking classroom.
She probably
And
would
they
have been
said, well,
convicted.
they said, so what did happen? And she said they threw a dictionary in my head and tried to kill me.
What the fuck?
A very clearly different movie.
What is with the fucking school
I
system
think
in
it is
America where that
Dangerous
happens?
Minds. I think
Holy
it is
shit.
Dangerous Minds.
This sounds like it's the movie you're describing.
Yeah.
Dangerous Minds uses
in
the Bad Boys logo, it looks
They
like.
changed it in the movie to make it more like sex appeal because like the lead is Michelle Pfeiffer and like, you know, she's a pretty power woman. So they were like, yeah, she walks into the classroom with like her tits hanging out and like her ass, and she's like, oh, this probably was it. This movie had a budget of 23 million and made 180 million dollars. I think this is the movie. And like, she walks in the scene, she walks in the classroom with like her ass hanging out and all this shit, and she's like, I'm gonna fuck you if you do your math homework. And they're like, okay, teacher. Yeah, it was a high school.
The students in the background of the poster look like they're all 40.
Well, that's American filmmaking, Jackson.
Yeah, that's just the Riverdale syndrome.
Yeah, but this is like egregious. Like they're not even trying in this one. There's a guy with a full beard in the back.
Yeah. But yeah, they took a true story about a teacher teaching in a violent, crime-ridden school and earning their respect through being